Whatever your opinions are of Lewis Hamilton, the only thing we can all agree on is he is Mercedes' most prized possession, and that the company and its team boss Toto Wolff will do anything to appease his desires. And with a new contract in the discussion, will the Silver Arrows succeed again in locking in the 7-time world champion? Or will things fall apart when we least expect it to? If these queries pique your interest, then stick around to find out the answers to these questions. But before we get started, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on our latest uploads. Now that's sorted, let's talk about Lewis's future. Toto Wolff, Mercedes' team boss, has revealed that he'll be talking to Lewis Hamilton in the same manner he has in the past, and it seems like they might not finalize a deal until closer to the start of the new season. So, fans might have to wait a bit longer to find out how long Lewis will stick around in F1. Lewis signed his last contract with Mercedes at the beginning of February 2021, just before the pre-season testing started. He even signed his previous 2 contracts during the season, with the 2018 deal being done in July. Toto also mentioned that Mercedes probably won't say yes to all of Lewis Hamilton's demands as he works out what will probably be his last F1 deal. But he shut down any rumors that Lewis is begging for a new contract after losing to his rookie teammate George Russell last season. Wolff told Automotor und Sport, "I don't see it that way at all. I said very early on that Lewis will always have a seat with us. A decision is always discussed between us, and Lewis would be the first to say if he's not enjoying it anymore or thinks he has deficits. In this respect, we want to continue, and we will certainly negotiate as in previous years. I don't see any indication that we need to change anything." The Austrian's comments show talks may have finally begun between both sides after Hamilton raised fears that the process had stalled. As we have mentioned in a video last week, the two haven't got together to properly discuss things since the two have gone their own ways over the winter break. But, according to a French magazine, Lewis Hamilton is apparently going to sign a 2-year extension with a big pay raise. They're saying the deal could be as much as £61.4 million, 70 million euros per season, which would make him the highest paid driver on the grid. Max Verstappen, the current champion, only made £48.4 million, $60 million last season. Toto would respond to these allegations and call the proposed figures as wild. Obviously, the winner doesn't stop the rumor mill, and it's been entertaining to read speculation about contract discussion when they haven't yet begun. The rumors seem to have started on a French blog, Sportoon, with which we don't have a relationship, and are pretty wild in terms of what they suggest. Hamilton has openly stated he wanted to sign a multi-year deal to keep him in the team for at least 2 more years. But Lewis hasn't set a deadline for when he's leaving F1, so people are thinking the 7-time world champion might be tempted to stay longer. The new F1 rules are coming in 2026, which could be a reason to stick around for another year. He previously commented, "I'm not putting a limit on it, to be honest. I'm planning to do a multi-year deal with my team. I really don't know what the next 5 years hold. I think we're still trying to work on that." If Lewis does extend his stay with the team, fans will get to see his unspoken rivalry with his teammate George Russell continue on longer. Russell, in his first year with the Silver Arrows, was able to outduel his 7-time world champion teammate. In a recent interview, he would talk about what helped his cause in finishing ahead of Lewis in 2022. The 2022 season was a forgettable one for the most part, as the team would bring a subpar car that only brought them 1 win all season long. A win that George won for the team, I might add. But with a forgettable season from a team's perspective, George would share that it was his experience dealing with a subpar car at Williams is what helped him assimilate to the W13 and its problems. "I think the most important key factor was that I had to deal with a car that was very difficult to drive for the last 3 years." The 24-year-old looked back on his experience gained at the underperforming Williams team, which now surprisingly helped him. The car I got at Mercedes in 2022 was actually better than anything I drove in the years before. This is an experience Lewis can't say he's had in the past, since he always had the best car on the grid for most of his years in F1. He had always had a car that could win the World Championship for 8 years before, so his definition of a good car was quite different to mine, said Russell. This admirable season for Russell is the reason fans are pitting him and Lewis against each other, a scenario that George says he does not want to realize during his time as Lewis's teammate. If our relationship starts to break up, he said, according to Auto Evolution, it's going to have an impact on the team and ultimately it's going to go full circle and affect us as well. I think we can continue to build off this, and if anything, our relationship will probably get closer as time goes on. But the 24-year-old driver would acknowledge that things will get heated between him and Lewis if they were both battling for race wins in 2023. However, he would say that he believes that they will continue to be respectful of one another on track. I mean, naturally, if you're fighting for 1-2s, there will be a slightly different dynamic, and that's only natural, said Russell. But I think the thing we have going for us is the fact that we are at very different stages of our career. It kind of feels like we're in this together, really. If we've got a car that's capable of 1-2 finishes, we will have a huge amount of pride in thinking we have contributed together in helping the team achieve this, and then we go about our business. But we've got no reason to have conflict. We have got a good relationship. We need to give each other respect, and I think we gave each other respect in Mexico at the first corners, as an example. And as for the man in charge at Mercedes, Toto Wolff would be urged by former F1 driver Emmanuel Pirro to support the driver who comes in second between Lewis and George. Both Lewis and George had a tough time last season, as they couldn't really figure out how to handle the tricky Mercedes car. Pirro said, "At Red Bull, the distribution of roles between Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez is clear. Max is the stronger driver. But when you have two equal drivers, like Hamilton and Russell at Mercedes, or Leclerc and Sainz at Ferrari, the team boss then has to support the driver who has more difficulties, like parents helping a weaker child. After that, in the difficult moments, the driver who can bring the extra flash of inspiration will prevail. That makes the difference between the teammates." In the past, Toto has lauded the two for having a collaborative relationship from the get-go. "It's really difficult to make friends in the paddock, especially with your teammates," said Toto. "But what I see is a really respectful and constructive cooperation. I've never seen two drivers before in a meeting asking each other questions like, 'How did you feel on the corner?' or 'Did you have the same problem?' There is an active exchange. The cards are not kept close to the chest. That's good for us." And there you have it, guys. So will Lewis have his way again regarding his contract extension? And will George and Lewis inevitably have a falling out when things get heated between them? Let us know in the comments section below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't.